Chapter 20, Chapter 21, The Fallout and the Chase. The sun was barely up when the news broke. It spread like wildfire, flashing across every news station, blaring from radios, filling social media feeds. State's lawyer found dead in his home. Suicide after explosive video leak. Brian sat on the couch staring at the screen, the remnants of last night's drinks still on the coffee table. The news anchor's voice droned on, detailing the apparent suicide of Mr. Jesse Graves, the once powerful state's lawyer who had been reduced to a national disgrace overnight. The leaked videos had destroyed his career, his family had reportedly gone into hiding, and the weight of his downfall had pushed him to take his own life. Mr. B's laughter echoed in Brian's head. Well, 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 I didn't even have to lift a finger for that one. Brian exhaled, rubbing his face. Jesus. He actually did it. Mr. B snickered. What did you expect? Public humiliation? The loss of his career? His family abandoning him? It was only a matter of time. Brian remained silent, eyes locked on the screen. Sources close to the family say Mr. Graves had been in a severe state of depression since the video leaked. Unable to face the press and the disgrace, he was found dead in his home late last night from what authorities are calling a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He left behind a note, but police have yet to release its contents. Brian took a deep breath. It's done. It's beautiful, Mr. B corrected. One down, a whole jury to go. Brian's grip tightened on his glass. You still want to go through with that? Mr. B scoffed. Oh, Brian, this was never about just one man. This was about justice, real justice. Those jurors sat there, listened to the lies, let your family be destroyed, and did nothing. They walked out of that courtroom free while you lost everything. You really think they deserve to keep living their little lives untouched? Brian let the silence stretch. He knew Mr. B was right. They were part of it, just as much as the judge, the lawyer, and the marshals. They had looked him in the eye, passed their verdict, and walked away. They had moved on, but Brian never got to move on. How do we decide who's next? He finally asked. Mr. B grinned. That, my dear Brian, is where we have some fun. Brian reached for a notepad and began writing down names. Each juror, every single one of them, in bold letters. One by one, he tore the paper into strips, folding each piece neatly. Mr. B watched with approval. Ah, a classic. The draw of fate. Brian grabbed a hat from the nearby chair and tossed the folded names inside. He stared at the hat for a moment before exhaling deeply. We pick one, he murmured. And they go next. Mr. B chuckled. Now this is teamwork. Brian closed his eyes, gripping the brim of the hat, feeling the weight of what was to come. The game was far from over. Chapter 21, The Chase. Detective Davy leaned back in his chair, eyes fixed on the grainy security footage playing across his laptop screen. The room was dimly lit, the only illumination coming from the glow of his monitor and the occasional flicker of a cigarette he hadn't touched in minutes. The video looped again. Mr. Graves, the disgraced state's lawyer, stumbling into his home, shaking, broken. Hours later, the news would report his suicide. But Davy wasn't buying it. He pressed pause, his fingers drumming against the desk. There was something off about this. The evidence at the crime scene had been clean. Too clean. The video had been leaked anonymously, but Davy knew better. Someone had orchestrated this, and the pattern was becoming clearer. One by one, the people connected to Brian Marshall's case were turning up dead first Judge Smith. Then the courthouse marshals, then the caseworker. Now the lawyer. And he had a damn good idea who was responsible. He reached for his notepad, flipping through pages of frantic scribbles, notes connecting everything together. All roads led back to Brian Marshall, a man once deemed a grieving father, now something far more dangerous. But there was more to it. The way these deaths played out, the meticulous planning, the psychological torment, Davy suspected Marshall wasn't working alone. No, there was something darker at play. Something or someone inside his head. Davy had been tailing Brian for days. The man had grown more elusive, more calculated, but tonight Davy was done waiting. Sitting in his unmarked car, he watched from across the street as Brian exited a rundown motel, a duffel bag slung over his shoulder. The way he moved, the way his eyes flicked from side to side, Davy could see it. The paranoia, the preparation. Brian was always one step ahead, but not this time. Davy gritted his teeth. He slammed the car door shut and strode toward him. "Brian!" His voice cut through the night air. Brian froze mid-step. His body tensed, but slowly he turned, his expression unreadable. "Detective," Brian said, his voice carefully controlled. Davy kept his stance firm. "We need to talk. Now." "About what?" Brian tilted his head, feigning confusion, but Davy wasn't playing along. "You know damn well what about. Every single one of them. Judge Smith, the marshals, the caseworker, and now the lawyer. You think I don't see it? You think I don't know what you're doing?" A flicker of something passed through Brian's eyes, something almost amused. And then Mr. B spoke. "Well, well, Detective Davy," he mused. "You've been quite the nuisance, haven't you?" Davy stiffened. The shift was subtle, but he noticed it. The change in Brian's posture, his tone, the way his gaze darkened. "You don't have to do this, Brian," Davy pushed, trying to reach the man beneath. "This isn't who you are." Brian smirked, or maybe it wasn't Brian at all. "Oh, Detective, you have no idea who I am." Then, chaos. Brian moved first, hurling the duffel bag straight at Davy. The weight knocked the detective back just as Brian sprinted toward a nearby alley. Davy cursed, scrambling to his feet and drawing his gun. But Brian was already disappearing into the darkened streets. Davy ran after him. "Stop! Brian!" The chase was on. Brian weaved through the alleyways, moving with precision. He had planned for this, expected it. Davy was persistent, but Brian was desperate, and Mr. B, he was thrilled. "Oh, Brian, this is exhilarating!" Mr. B laughed in his mind. "Run, run, little mouse!" They burst onto an open road. Ahead, Brian's car was waiting, engine running. He didn't hesitate, diving inside and flooring the gas pedal just as Davy burst onto the scene. Gunfire. A bullet shattered the back window, but Brian didn't slow down. Davy leapt into his car, tires screeching as he gave chase. The city blurred around them, headlights flashing, horns blaring as they tore through the streets. Brian's hands were steady on the wheel, his mind focused. Mr. B's laughter filled his head. "Let's give him a show, shall we?" Brian veered toward the bridge. The river below stretched into darkness, an endless void. "Are you sure about this?" Brian asked, gripping the wheel tighter. "Oh, Brian," Mr. B purred. "You know we have to go out with style?" Davy was gaining. Then, Brian jerked the wheel sharply, sending the car barreling through the guardrail, a moment of weightlessness. The world tilted. The car twisted midair before plummeting into the icy river below. The impact shattered the windshield, water rushing in instantly. Davy slammed his brakes, leaping out, gun drawn as he rushed to the edge. He barely caught the last glimpse of the car sinking beneath the surface, swallowed whole by the black depths. Silence. Davy's chest heaved. He scanned the water, waiting, hoping for movement. Nothing. The ripples faded. The car was gone. Brian Marshall was dead. Somewhere far from the city, Brian sat in the dark, staring at the flickering candlelight. His clothes were soaked, his breathing steady but exhausted. "Well," Mr. B said, grinning, "that was fun." Brian exhaled, running a hand through his wet hair. "He thinks we're dead." "Oh, Detective Davy is mourning us as we speak." Mr. B laughed. "You were magnificent, a true performer." Brian sighed. "Now what?" Mr. B leaned forward, a gleam in his eye. "Now, we get to work." Brian smirked. Time to mess with his head. He reached for a pen and a notepad, writing the first words of a new plan.